So now we're ready to put our text and have the lines kind of interact with them. Maybe for some of the lines, they could go through a letter. Another one, it can go in front of the word. So let's just grab our text tool and write 3 words because I have 3 lines and we want each word to be separate. So instead of writing them all in one layer, we're going to put them in 2 separate layers. These are the settings I have for my word. I also want to make sure they're big enough so that the lines can go through them. Command double click on the anchor point tool to align it perfectly. Align it horizontally and bring it towards the center. Now duplicate this and write in your second word. So that's my second word. Duplicate that and write my third word. There we go. So I have lines through text. These are my 3 words that I will just align on top of each other. So hit P on text and move it down. Grab lines, hit P and move it up. There we go. Now I will choose the lines that I want to interact with these words. So I would have to comb through my footage and see exactly where the, let's say, green line is going to interact with one of these words. So I can see that the pink line is interacting with the letter E. So I'm gonna make this pink, color code it so that it's organized. I'm also going to shy away my reflections. We're not going to need them for now. They're still in the composition, but we're just shying them away because it helps to keep the timeline organized. So there's our text. I'm just going to move this down below the pink line like that. That's a pretty easy thing you can do. Now I will grab my second line, which I'd say is a green line. You can see it's going through the letter N. So I'm going to zoom into my word, which I will have to mask out. Grab your layer, then the pen tool to just remove the section where the line is interacting. So for me, it would have to be this right side. And I'm going to start the mask from up there. Hold down Shift to make a perfect line. You can close it off right at this corner, and then the rest is not that important. The most important part is this section and this section. Now hit M on your lines layer and invert this mask. So you're getting everything except what we selected. So I'm going to grab this guy, hold down Shift, and try to get a perfect selection. Bring it up so you don't get little white bits. And now we're going to duplicate this, hit M, and invert the mask. So right off the bat, it doesn't look that different, but when we solo these layers, line 2 is only this bit, and this is the original line layer. I'm going to pull this guy away from letter E. So I'm going to call this, instead of lines 2, line mask. Place line mask, which I'm just going to color code with green so we know which layer belongs to which line. Line mask is going to move below our green line composition. So now we get something like this. Looking good. You can clean up your mask if you want. I think we'd have to do that. There we go. It's now going in front of the letter N, but behind the rest of the letters. So that was our second line. I'm going to bring this below our camera layer. We're done with green line. I'm going to shy away the text layers. So now we're just left with the orange line. And I think I'll have it go above this small section on the letter H. So once again, grab your main text layer for that word. Zoom in and just mask out the section where the line is interacting. Something like this. Now we're going to hit M and invert our layer. Duplicate that layer, hit M, and uncheck the inverted box. Grab this layer to duplicate. I'm going to call it Through Mask. Through Mask, which looks like this, we're going to grab it underneath our orange line. There we go. It's looking pretty good. We can extend our mask layer. Just double click on any of the points and make it go beyond the top where we made the mask initially. You just have to do that on the main text layer. And that way we will have the glow for as long as the mask goes. I'm gonna increase it like this. And there we go. Click away once you're finished and we got ourselves a nice 3D effect. So now what we want to do is to, let's bring back all of our layers. I'm going to grab through and match it with the orange line layer. So anything orange belongs to orange, green to green, purple to purple. I'm going to unshine my text layers, get rid of the reflections for now. So I want to introduce my text in a nice and interesting way. And to do that, I'm going to create a flickering effect. So like the lights turned on for my text. Grab all of your line layers, pink line, green line, and move them towards the right. So the animation does not begin until this point, and we have this place to ourselves to add this flickering effect. I'm going to find out when I want my flickering animation to end. About here. Now grab all of your, let's lock our line compositions. So now grab all of your text layers and we're just going to grab them all, hold down Command to select multiple layers. Be sure to not select the camera layer. And we're going to hit T on our keyboard. Let's zoom in into our timeline and we're working frame by frame here. Turn on the stopwatch for opacity. Move this forward, about 2 frames forward. Turn this to 0. Now go in a little bit more and type in 0 again. 2 more frames, type in 100. After 3 more frames, we're gonna make it 0, so it's slowly waking up. After 3 more frames, we're gonna turn it to 100. So we get this flickering effect, and then the light of our text kind of turns on. Before we put in our last keyframe, maybe we can make it show up at around 80% or 70%. So now we get something like this. Before our lines show up, hit M and we're just going to close off all the properties. So I just brought in my reflections and the main line compositions closer so that right after the text has finished flickering, my lines start to make their way towards the text. So once we have this, we can just go ahead and begin adding some camera movements. Grab your camera layer and make all of your text layers 3D. I'm gonna lock my reflections and my line layers for a second. Make all of my text layers 3D, move this down. Then we can change our view into maybe a custom view. Custom view 1. Grab your text layers, all of them at the same time, hold down Command. Hit P on your keyboard to make a keyframe. Move this guy somewhere close and then use position Z to bring it towards the camera. Something like this. Then bring these keyframes at the start of your composition. So to introduce a camera movement, I'm gonna go into my custom view number 1. There's my camera and there is my text. So I kind of want the camera to be further away from my main composition. So when we go here, you can see, I'm going to create a keyframe and move it somewhere here. Then grab my Z position and move further away from my text. So we're not going past it, we're going before it. So we can zoom in slowly and reveal our flickering lines. You can see the camera is slowly moving towards our text. This is our camera right now. It's moving towards the text and then it just stops. So you can see at the beginning, our text is pretty blurry, but then it kind of gets into focus as we move closer with our camera. Now this is optional, but I want to create some shapes for the camera to move past before reaching our main composition. So as you can see, our camera is back here, but then it moves towards our composition. I want to create some random shapes right around here maybe, so the camera can move past it, and that will give it a more three-dimensional look. Let's make a new composition, call it random lines, make the color black, grab your pen tool and just create really random lines. Then we're going to move into our lines composition, drag the random lines underneath the camera layer, make the layer 3D, hit P, and use Z position to kind of move it closer to the box that you see, so that our focal distance can kind of pass through. So we see these blurry lines, and I would just have to move it up even more so we don't really see it after we've moved in towards our text. Let's make a keyframe, and then a little forward, we're gonna zoom it out even more. Go into any of these original line compositions and copy the glow effects. So now we get this purple line that we're just gonna pass through, and then we will get our text and finally the original glowy lines. So you can go ahead and add more random objects so that the camera can move through it, and you can see this is where my random line is right now. So your camera can kind of pass through it and get into your main composition. So that was how we can create this effect. I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you in the next one.